They encounter the rival gang, who instructs them to follow, so they all proceed, walking slowly, with the leader of the gang being the happiest, like a child, is the leader of the Shikoten. At that moment, our Sakura is also in observer mode, and as he scans the area, he notices that it's full of bars. That's when the blonde behind him mentions that this is the place with the largest bar district in the city, and that's why there's a lot of foot traffic here at night. However, they're not friendly at all. It's at this point that our Sakura notices the presence of the boy, and since he doesn't have a duel today, he asks why he came. He makes an excuse, mentioning that he was also present when everything started, and as part of the Windbreakers. Even if he can't protect others, he wants to learn from them. He asks them to let him observe, so at least he can learn to defend himself. Our tsundere protagonist tells him to do whatever he wants, and seeing this, the eye patch guy mentions that our Sakura blushes immediately, and just as the one who said so is about to shut him up, Gar also shuts up our tsundere, and on top of that, the latter mentions that he should keep his composure, while their leader tells him to relax a bit more. Otherwise his stomach will hurt again. Seeing the four young ones, they're glad to have them in the Windbreakers, and at that moment, the desperate Shoi tells them to hurry up, so they advance a bit more and finally arrive at the Shotorai headquarters, where the one with glasses welcomes them to the high place of the Vandals' fights. Upon entering, the blonde tells us that this place used to be a cinema called the Golden Cinema, but now it's better known as the Cage. As they enter through the door, they are greeted by a crowd in yellow jackets. While the entrance of the fighters is announced, obviously, they're not welcomed at all, as they even throw drink cans at them, and obviously, the most nervous and fearful is the blonde, who wonders if they can get out of here alive. Seeing him like this, our Sakura reminds him that he came here to learn, so he emphasizes that he should look ahead, and as if it were a festival, Jui announces to everyone that the most fun duels are about to begin, while quietly telling his guys that even if things get tough for them, the important thing is his duel against the others, Tomiyama, meaning the results of their fight won't count towards victory. But upon hearing this, our protagonist, the rebel, emphasizes that he doesn't plan on losing. Even Iguri is happy with that response, and with what our Sakura said, Yumiya feels even happier to have them. At the same time, the crazy Shoji calls out for an opponent to fight right away. However, the dangerous guy doesn't allow it because leaders can't be the first to fight, so the weird-looking guy with strange hair volunteers, as he's tired of his opponent staring at him so much. He takes advantage of mocking his opponent, mentioning it in a mocking tone, but our furious guy doesn't care. He's now heading to the fight stage. However, Isakura stops him and reminds him that they haven't finished their battle yet, but if he loses against that guy, he'll never fight him again. But obviously, the long-haired guy doesn't care, so our protagonist just tells him not to even think about losing, completely ignoring our Sakura. But the one who doesn't ignore anyone is the blonde, who's looking for his sister's opponent. Upon finding information about him, he discovers that he mostly relies on brute force, and according to his record, he's broken several ribs with a single blow, although Ayuo defends the long-haired guy, mentioning that he's very similar. Yumiya interrupts, emphasizing that they shouldn't compare the poor rival against his sister. He knows that the strength of the long-haired guy is on another level, so, as the fight begins, the ugly guy tries to distract him, addressing Emilia and asking what's wrong with him. Immediately, our champion changes his attention, and the cheater takes advantage to hit him. Our long-haired guy reminds him not to get distracted during the fight and also insults him, calling him an idiot, but obviously, the idiot is someone else, as our champion, gripping his arm and grabbing his face with one hand, knocks him to the ground with a single blow, calling himself Mr. Yumiya with epic style, definitely the least enthusiastic. With that splendid humiliation, he left. Some of the yellow jackets even praise him for being very resistant, but the one who doesn't look kindly at our long-haired guy is the dangerous guy with glasses. Then, the leader of the Shikoden wants to fight the winner, but he's stopped by his companion, who grabs him and throws him into a seat. Despite the seconds and minutes that have passed, none of the Shikoden members seem concerned about the loser. They even praised the winner. The blonde mentions that the people of Shikoden are not normal, and as they descend from the stage, his sister is praised by an opponent who highlights how she always dominates her opponent and has always been very resilient. However, the blow doesn't affect her. which doesn't surprise Sakura, who fought against her. Our protagonist realizes that Sakura acknowledges the strength of his sister, but he, being less fortunate, emphasizes that the long-haired guy is tough. They both start laughing at Sakura. Meanwhile, the guy with glasses was thinking of going out to fight, but Choi interrupts him and speaks first, sending 2 lackeys to remove the loser. 2 volunteers offer, but since they couldn't take him to the corner, they decided to kick him out and mock him. When they pass near Sakura, our guy tells them not to make noise and not to talk about the cult of strength because it's embarrassing. Papia speaks, mentioning that it's useless for our protagonist to try to talk to them because kids like them only understand when they experience it firsthand. One of them gets angry at the patch guys, but gets scared when Choi tells him to retreat, looking at him with a cold and empty face. With this, the 2 cowards disappear. Sakura comments that the next to fight will be him, but Suo corrects him, as it's his turn now. Addressing his opponent, Suo says, "Hey little guy, you seem stressed, so let's do some exercise," challenging him before going to the stage. Suo tells Sakura that he thought he was a complete fool when he said he wanted to reach the top on the first day of class. These words anger Sakura, who tells him that if he's looking for a fight, he's found one. The patch guy apologizes, saying that until recently, he thought they were empty words. But seeing Sakura's actions made him realize they have substance. With this, he tells Sakura that he will also strive not to fall behind. Finally, both rivals are on the stage. Sakura takes the opportunity to ask Suo what he knows about him. The blonde assumes he's talking about the opponent, but Sakura corrects him, referring to Suo. Nira tells him that Suo has been strong and popular since middle school, but Sakura finds this obvious. The blonde continues to search in his book but finds no information. Hayari adds that he also heard his name but doesn't know anything else because he was in a different high school. Yumiya, the leader, emphasizes that upon getting to know him and observing how he interacts with others, he discovered that he's a good guy. Suso notices that the rival's expression shows he's capable of getting angry about it, so it's truly a change in attitude compared to what he saw before. Hayari explains that he has been with Arima for a long time, and they always had each other's backs since they were little. He angrily reproaches how he wouldn't get upset if they beat his brother, but Suo just laughs it off, saying he's just an impatient kid. He asks if he's suffered a lot in his life, to which Sakura recalls that if he had, he wouldn't have that tough guy expression. So, when the rival tries to hit him, our pirate friend elegantly throws him to the ground while mocking him, explaining that Tantrum stopped being cute after elementary school. He asserts that he'll help him climb the ladder to maturity because he's the least egocentric. Meanwhile, the rival thinks Suo practices some kind of martial art as he suddenly appears behind him. Thus, he decides to strike quickly to prevent evasion, but ends up on the ground again, unable even to grab his pants, as he receives the humiliation of his life. It makes him reflect on what he lacks to become an adult, although it's clear he's not here to learn, so he tries to hit him again. But it's as if the rival falls by himself in a scene that looks like magic, prompting the audience to demand he fight seriously as he's being ridiculed. Upon hearing this, the Shishidoran guy thinks to himself that they believe they're very brave as he tried everything, yet the kid remains unfazed, making him doubt anyone can defeat him. Meanwhile, the Windbreaker leader realizes he was wrong about Suo. He's not just a good guy, but a great guy. However, Sakura doesn't see it that way. He sees him as the worst person because instead of defeating his opponent with a single graceful blow, he turns the whole fight into a spectacle, demonstrating his superiority the whole time and ridiculing his opponent. Sakura admits that if he were in his shoes, he'd rather die, but also points out that he wouldn't end up as badly as that weak guy being humiliated. Iguri also gives his comment, saying he didn't expect Suo to be so emotional, but he thinks it's fine since none of them liked what they saw from the Shishidoran. Yumam adds that it's probably thanks to the influence of someone close that they're seeing this behavior right now. Hearing this, Nairai thinks to himself that they're right, but Sakura interrupts his thoughts, asking how he could stand up to Suo. However, the blonde truthfully doesn't know because the guy being humiliated hasn't even had a chance. Meanwhile, there are scenes where Peipiu is beating up the Shirtorai guy, thinking they're going to do the same to him as they did to their other teammates who lost, but as he refuses to believe that will happen, he tries to hit Suo, who was expecting it and counters with a kick, leaving him no choice but to stop. Our pirate friend reveals that he knows what he was thinking, visualizing what happened to those he mocked, and is afraid of the same happening to him. To end his epic statement, he mentions that maturity requires imagination. The traumatized guy falls on his own, and Suo advises him that to strengthen his imagination, he needs to make it a reality, and if he wants to continue fighting, he'll be waiting with his fist. The traumatized guy says enough while the guy with glasses asks Suo to get off the stage and tells the humiliated one not to embarrass them again, then retracts and says he's not one of them anymore. As our pirate friend passes by his rival, he tells him that to become an adult, he must be able to empathize with others, and although he lacks a lot of experience and imagination for that, he congratulates him for having a bit of it.